Good afternoon, good evening to all of you who are joining us here right now live. We are at the Reposition, and I'm so excited that you have joined us. And I want to thank you in advance for joining in this conversation today. My name is Chanel Varantes, and I have the distinct pleasure of having a wonderful conversation today. Yes, just to sit back, kick back, talk about it, conversation with none other than our very own Sheilah Vickers. Some of you know her as an evangelist. Some of you know her as a teacher. I get the opportunity to know her as my boss, as well as an educator, an author, a strategist. There's so many different things, so many different titles that she goes by. She is not only all of those different things, but she also is the founder of the Reposition, as well as the CEO and the founder of Savant Leadership. And tonight, we are going to just be talking about executive transition, high potential leadership, as well as succession planning. So thank you for joining. I want you to do me a favor, click like and share with somebody that you know. Matter of fact, share it with somebody you might not know, but you think somebody that could actually learn from this conversation. I'm going to give you a minute to get some more viewers on here. We're going to bring Evangelist Vickers right on camera so we can just have this conversation tonight. But while I'm doing this, I want you to do me that favor. Click, like, share this video. If you're watching it by YouTube, if you're watching it on Facebook, if you're on Renewal Reality, if you are on the Reposition page, wherever you are at, if you're on any of our personal pages, click, like, and share. You don't want to miss this conversation tonight. At this time, it's my pleasure again and my distinct honor to bring on camera to speak with us, to have this conversation, our very own Sheilah Vickers. Sheilah Vickers, I would love. Hello, there you are. Yay!
Hello.
Hello. So, I'm not used to you just saying Sheilah Vickers. Uh, but tonight, per your request, we're going to just go by Sheilah or Miss Vickers as it's so awkward for me to do anything other than. But because of the stand that we're standing in tonight, this is a whole nother side of you that a lot of people don't know about. They don't know the side of you that's outside of the church. And I shouldn't say just outside of the church, but what you do in other venues outside of the walls of the church. We know you to be a phenomenal leader in the building. We know what you do. We know I call you my national evangelist, which you are. But we also know that you are a leader in your own rights, not just in the church, but in the community as well. That you have founded and started Savant Leadership. And what I want you to do tonight for a little bit, I want you to just talk a little bit about you talk about Savant Leadership. What made you want to do Savant Leadership?
Yeah. And so thank you very much. It's an honor and privilege to be on the Reposition on this side. This is so different for me. But I am Sheilah Vickers. I am the CEO of Savant Leadership Consulting. And, to begin with, the word savant alone savant means a higher thinker, someone who thinks above the average. And so going into my graduate studies for organizational leadership, it really was impressed upon me to do more for faith-based organizations and for even Fortune 100 organizations, just because I began to look at the signs of the times. And this was back in 2018. And when I looked and doing research, I realized that there's an upper tier of management, of leadership, of directors that's either retiring and leaving the marketplace, leaving the workforce. And while they are leaving, they're looking down to see who can they promote. And it was becoming a little scarce. It was becoming a little sparse in who they had to choose from. And I'm saying, well, hey, why can't we just train those who are to be in leadership? And I talk to a lot of millennials. I talk to a lot of Generation Z, and just like, okay, so what do you want to do? And I want to be a leader, and I want to go to the top. And my next question is, okay, how are we preparing to be there? Are we prepared to take on these positions that we are accepting? Because certainly you can know someone and have networking. You can be part of a legacy, whatever that may be. You may be related to someone who has the same last name as you in leadership. But when you actually get into that position, are you prepared? Are you ready? And so what I did was I started this group just to speak to high potential leaders. High potential leaders are really the ones who are the cream of the crop, who are above the standard, who show those qualities that may not be all present, all polished, but they have the potential to be what they are to be in the future.
Awesome. So when you talk about high potential leaders, if we had to come up with a list of qualities or character traits, what would you be looking for if you are someone who is wanting to hire high potential leaders, and or if you are looking to elevate or move up the corporate chain in some form of way, what type of leader would you be looking for?
Well, you would first be looking for someone who knows how to lead and how to empower others. It's not just a take charge person, right? So a lot of people feel that empowerment. Hello, Dr. Malcolm. I see you. A lot of people think that empowerment is only let me show you what I do, and then you mimic what I do. And that is that's not a leader. You want someone who has the skills to motivate others, to inspire others, to take charge, to say, we can get this done as a team. And I may have my way of doing it, but empowerment really is, here, I've shown you my way, but I'm giving you the tools. I'm giving you the power for you to now figure it out, because that leadership skill is in you. Let me see how that can work out. And you may fail, right? And part of learning something is failing, right? So we look at those teachable moments, those teachable opportunities. So empowerment is one. Having the right skills for that position, right? I may be a good singer, right? But I may not be the best music department president, right? So all of those things, you have to have the skills to lead people, right? So they are following you, not driving you. So having the skill set and knowing the all arounds of that department, of that organization, of your business, and of your church, and knowing how to fill a short space in that time, right? So not taking a long time to figure that out. So those are just some of the things that you would be looking for in high potential leaders. Those are the first people to recognize what they need to do, what needs to be done, and how we can get people to do it.
Okay, so if you can see, I'm taking notes as you're talking to me because you're saying some really powerful things. But let me ask you a question. Say I'm a corporate owner. I own my own corporation, which, I'm an entrepreneur, right? So I have my own business. And so within my business, I have a leadership organization. And so for me, I'm training people to be leaders. But what would make a high potential leader stand out? How would I know the difference between somebody that's just a leader versus an actual high potential leader? Because everything that you spoke here is something that for me, I'm looking for in just a normal leader. So is it safe to say I'm just looking for all high potential leaders, or what is the difference? What makes them stand out?
I would say that would be, you were looking for what you're looking for on steroids almost, just for their innate skills. You can tell
Good.
people who follow others very quickly, they have a spirit of influence, right? For teamwork to get that done.
That's really good. Innate skills. In other words, and I know that I've taken some leadership classes as you as well. And I know one of the things that they've taught us in school was that leaders can be taught how to lead. But then there are people who are actually have innate skills where they're born leaders. And those people you can teach them more skills, but it just comes naturally, if I'm correct. Is that true?
And for some people, it does come naturally, but you also want to nurture those skills. They may
Yeah.
be raw. It may be their zeal may be such an effect until they can't really communicate and how to get people to follow them. So yes, I do believe in natural born leaders. I also believe that leaders can be taught and nurtured how to be a better leader. But for the most part, that leader is innate in them.
That's
I
good.
love what Dr. Malcolm is saying.
Yeah.
Leaders set parameters and provide strategies and tools, but they allow that uniqueness for those that may come behind him. Or absolutely,
That is really
not for
powerful.
just a factory making clones. That's not leadership.
And that's so good. That is a powerful statement. So then is it safe to say that Savant leadership, you're helping to build those high potential leaders and you're working in organizations, and I say organizations because that includes corporations as well as faith-based organizations, not-for-profits, different types, even within the church. Our church is technically an organization. It should be ran as such. Sometimes we don't, but they should be ran as such. So with that being said, one of the things I know that you talk about, and I want you to talk about a little bit more, and then we're going to get a little bit into succession planning. But before we do that, can you talk a little bit about executive transition and what that looks like?
Okay, so executive transitions, something that really became prevalent. It was already a thing before, but 2020, coming through 2020, there were a lot of people vacating their positions for many reasons, whether unfortunately through death, whether through relocation, their life suddenly changed where they had to switch their roles and their families and had to care for other things. And so a lot of executive directors had to vacate their position. And for executive transitions, my question is, what do you do in your organization if you are at the helm, you are the executive director, and you do not come back tomorrow? Something suddenly happens tonight and you cannot ever go back. You need to take not only a leave of absence, and that is the short term, but what if you have to vacate that position altogether? Is there some system that is put in place where this organization, it's almost like a body having something cut off, you having to retrain and having to learn how to live without that part. And it's more than just writing a name on a sheet to say, hey, if I'm not back, that person is in charge. There is a transition period. And I suggest that anyone who is even changing in leadership in whatever capacity, that you have maybe a transition team to help you through that process, because it is a period that you have to go through. Number one, that leader may be of the same organization, but certainly leaders have different temperaments, different personalities, different leadership styles, that everyone will have to become acclimated to. And speaking of church, yes, we're all of the same spirit and we can all pray together, but the leader still has their own vision, their own proclivities, their own leadership styles. And while mantles will fall, they're a part of the legacy that will carry on throughout their ministry. But the leadership still has to have the levity and the room to lead in their own way. And so executive transition is that period of transitioning from one leader to another. Hopefully it will go in a seamless fashion, but then things will need to change, and how those changes are made, We'll talk about the make or break of an organization, how those things are handled, the reactions to, because let's face it, making just a decision as a leader, not everyone will agree, but how will you lead in the fashion that the transition is seamless, is progressive, and for the good of the organization?
That's really good. So then it would be safe to say that with any executive transition, this is when you have to have a succession plan. And I know that has become in somewhat of a buzzword in season. Now everybody is talking about succession planning, but I don't think people really understand what all it entails, the time that it takes, and how you really make that happen. And so, if you don't mind, share with me, from your standpoint, what is succession planning? What is that? What does that look like?
Sure. And succession plan has come as much as a buzzword as millennials were a couple of years ago. And what I like to tell people, like you said, it's not just a quick thing, a quick fix. It's not just a piece of paper that documents this will be my successor. It's more than the person that you gave birth to say that this is their birthright here. But a succession plan, really, it's the process of planning. It's really a plan, right? It's not the exact transition, but it is the plan toward transition for leadership positions across the board. It includes recruiting new people for the position, but it also includes training candidates that may be inside or outside of your organization, but doing it with success. Once you leave that position, everything is set. So in most organizations, succession planning is handled by HR department as they reach inside, the organization, and to put up the little postings that this place is available for interviews. But it can also come from external candidates that are right for the position and the culture of the organization. So it's really important in succession planning that it includes that new appointee fits the culture of your organization. So it can sometimes come like the hiring, the retaining of the talent, but it may also include grooming of candidates, how to replace them well ahead of time so that everything is in place. So succession planning really is an important part of talent management. You may have heard that word in organizational leadership, but it is the talent management process. So it provides key roles with the right skills of positions that may need filling in a short space of time. But it actually it cuts cost for recruitment. It enables organizations to manage and recruit even in-house, to see what we have in-house first, and then we can seek outside sources.
So let me ask you a question. Once that plan is quote unquote completed, do you believe that it's not a one and done type of thing? It's something that is continuous, because cultures of organizations tend to change and tend to shift over time based on new leaders. They bring in their new aura to an organization, and so therefore they may make some changes. So do you think that it is wise to go back and look at that succession plan and revamp it to fit the needs of the organization as is? You can't use the same plan you had in 1990 for 2000. I mean, or can you?
I think you can use it, but it needs to be updated. So you always need to keep the pulse, your finger on the pulse of your organization. One of the things, I think it was a post that I made a couple of years ago, like, do you know the season of your organization? Do you know what season you're in? Are you in the summer? Are you in harvest? Are you in the winter? Are you in the autumn part of, or the spring where things are giving birth? Know the season of your organization. Know when it's time to move. Know when it's time to change. And so a succession plan is not just a one and done. And first of all, I think that was a question that you asked a little while ago about how long this process is. A succession plan can take anywhere from a year to 3 years just to implement, to have the plan, but then to begin implementing those programs to train people, right? And so when it's time for that transition to take place, it's really important that your succession plan has been in effect so that transitions can be smooth. And so it's important to know the season of your organization, to go back every once in a while to look at your succession plan, see when you need to bring a consultant back in, to see when you need that shot in the arm, right? And so the handover process of employing senior leaders or senior pastors or whomever you have in your upper tier, you need to know how to handle that number of tasks. And so if someone from your organization is not a consultant or a specialist, then you would go back to the drawing board, see how that can be updated, so on and so forth.
Okay, awesome. Listen, I want to do something really quick before we move on a little bit. I want to kind of reset the room here on Facebook. I just want to, and as well as YouTube, I just want to remind everybody what we're here for. We're here tonight just having a conversation. We're just talking about executive transition, high potential leadership, and succession planning. And we're talking about it with our very own Sheilah Vickers, who is the CEO of Savant Leadership Consulting, as well as this platform, the Reposition. And so if you have a question or thought, if you want to click like, matter of fact, we want you to click like, we want you to keep clicking like, and we want you to share. We want you to get this information out because individuals, companies, organizations, whether they're a small organization, whether they're a not-for-profit organization, whether they're a church or a corporate organization, Fortune 500, 100 company, any of those individuals could really benefit from this conversation. And we would love, love, love to hear from you. Here's some of your thoughts. Here's some of your concerns. And we're going to get into a couple of other things just really quickly. And I think what I wanted to do, I want to back up for a second. And I want to go back because we were talking about high potential leaders. If I was coming up in an organization, what would I have to do to be a high potential leader? How could I prepare myself so that I can be looked at as a possibility for if the CEO of organization was going to step down and they wanted to pull me along, how could I be the one that they would pick out the bunch and say, you're a high potential leader?
Well, the first thing I would say is to not be hindered by the position that you have now, right? You can be in the back office position, but be a high potential leader. It's all a matter of excellence. And how you carry out what you are assigned to do now. You know, I'm not getting churchy, but the scriptures talks about how you can, those small things that you're governing over, if you can handle those small things well, then you'll be asked to come to those greater things. I want you to look at the people who are handling those small things well. I just came out of a business meeting with my pastor, and he was talking about, even though I've asked you to complete a small task, I want you to do that with excellence. So you're looking for those people who are carrying forth those things with excellence. But again, you're looking for the level of influence that that person is also carrying. Right? How are they conducting themselves in those smaller meetings, right? Who's following their lead? Who's following what they're saying to be a high potential leader? So you can actually be called from a back office position to a leadership training program just by how you handle things where you are.
So that makes a lot of sense. Sometimes I feel like I got a lot more to do to come up so I can be one of those high potential leaders. But so let me ask you this. What is it that Savant Leadership can offer to these organizations? Whether it's, let's you know what? I want to take some time and break it down. And I say break it down because I want us to understand that Savant Leadership is not like just one. We don't just do faith-based. You have the ability to go from faith-based organizations to not-for-profit, small or large, or corporations. So share with the people what you offer.
Sure. Thank you for asking. So our areas of expertise is really executive transitions and high potential leadership development and succession planning. So within those, the services that we offer is number one, an executive director retreat. Now, this is a time of 3 days of training for executive directors who have less than 5 years of experience, right? So it's not just a matter of gaining that position, but if you have 5 years or less of experience, this retreat would be for you. What is it? It's an in-depth review of real world elements, right? Yeah, I know a lot of times in school, we may go to school for leadership and all of that is in theory, but can you handle leadership in practicum? Right? For nonprofits, for faith-based, for different organizations. We also talk about some problem solving. Can you learn and acquire those skills to solve those problems on the spot? Right? So we have classes, we have workshops throughout those 3 days. We have individual consulting. You will be able to address both individuals' issues, both individual and corporate. You will be coming together with your executive staff regarding shared experiences and the issues, because I feel that it's important for upper management to then develop a mentorship program that they will mentor you. And some of those mentorships happen with the mentee seeking out the mentor. And then sometimes the mentor will find and say, hey, I see a lot of myself in that mentee and I want to take them aside and show them not only what to do, but share with them my life experiences and leadership. And so we also offer, like we said, the succession planning and executive transitions, where we work with organizations proactively, meaning before it's time for the transition for key management positions. The plan focuses on unplanned as well as planned transitions. We help the organization clearly articulate the action steps that's taken before, during, and after that transition. So we also offer leadership development and high potential coaching. That's something that we were last talking about. We work with individual leaders or organizational management to strengthen their communication, to strengthen their team building skills, to foster leadership and effectiveness, to close performance gaps.
That's so that whole closed performance gaps just got me. I don't know. I think that's the business side of me. Because I think that's an area that a lot of companies are actually looking for help in. They don't necessarily understand how to. They see the need, they see the problem, but they don't know how to problem solve. And so closing those gaps helps to problem solve. And so you come with a wealth of knowledge, you come with a wealth of experience, you really do. And I'm really hoping that those of you that are in Facebook land, as we call it, or on YouTube and you're watching, that you're really grabbing hold to some of these nuggets, as well as thinking about how you can actually contact Sheilah Vickers. And so Sheilah Vickers, can you do me a favor? And could you just share with the people what's the best way to contact you, to get in touch with you? To set an appointment, to set up a time for consultation?
Sure.
Yes.
The first thing I like to say is you can call me for a consultation, and that's like a complimentary 15-minute consultation call, or then we could set up a discovery call to find out what you actually need as an organization. The best way to not reach me for business is to contact me on Facebook Messenger. You can actually go either to Savant Leadership Facebook page, or you can go to my website, SheilahVickers.com, and you can send us a message there. You can call us at the number that's on the screen, and we'll be glad to set something up for you or your organization if you have some questions to talk about it. And this is not just for faith-based. This is for Fortune 100, Fortune 500. If you have a business, if you are leading in any type of way, give us a call.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're gonna put that information back up for you, but we do have some questions that's starting to drop in. And I would like to go to this question that Dr. Malcolm has asked, I want to make sure we show this question, and she said, is it easier for males to mentor male leaders, successors, than women leaders to mentor women leaders, successors? That question right there.
Oh, Dr. Malcolm. I would say beyond gender, it would really depend on their temperament, the individual's temperament. I have found that there are some areas where I can mentor a male business wise, but there are also some things that if a male was mentoring me, there's some things he may not get. There's some things he may not understand as a woman in the marketplace. So it would be on your preference. And you know what? It's okay to have more than one mentor, right? You have some mentors that's called soft mentoring, right? And the soft mentors are those who mentor you from afar, right? She doesn't know it, but Dr. Carolyn Showell is a soft mentor for me. You know, I watch her from afar. I think I met her maybe twice and had a conversation, a lengthy conversation with her maybe once. If you said to her, do you know Sheilah Vickers? She would say, no, but she has mentored me from afar in her profession, in her psychological profession, because she is a not only a doctor in the Word of God, but she also has her educational and psychological degrees. And so I think that people get caught up with the gender thing. Well, a woman has to mentor me or a man has to mentor me if I'm a man. But I think it deals a lot with your temperament. There are some things that men can share with me that I will readily receive because it's that person. It's not necessarily because he's a man or a woman. But that's an excellent question, Dr. Malcolm. I would love to hear your insight after this is over. Thank you very much.
So it's interesting because when we look at corporate America, we know that in corporate America, most places, men are the dominant figure in corporate America. And so therefore we always talk about the glass ceiling with females and the um, us not being able to rise quite as high as the male, whether it's in our whether it's in salary or in positions. But I'm really starting to believe in the 21st century, we are able to kind of shift the dynamics there. And I'm watching corporate America kind of shift a little bit, and you're seeing more women rise to the top. What that means for us, though, when we're talking about high potential leaders, you're looking for women that's doing double. And meaning, in other words, that when you're preparing yourself as a woman, and you could correct me if I am wrong, as I would love to call you Dr. Vickers, but but the reality of it is that we have to do double. And I know we get angry. We're like, why do I have to do more? Why do I have to do more? It's just the way it is. That's how corporate America works. That's how society works. We've always been a male-driven society.
Yeah.
From the foundation of the earth. I mean, biblically so, men have always been considered the leaders of everything. And so for us to rise to the top, that means we have to do double. So even as being a high potential leader, that's going to require you to work twice as hard. Make sure you on your game, ladies. Make sure that you're preparing yourself, that you're educating yourself, that you are certifying yourself. I think that's something we don't talk a lot about as we are becoming or going up the ladders, whether we are entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs. Intrapreneurs being those who are moving up the corporate ladder. Entrepreneurs meaning you're getting your own business started. We talk about getting our 4 degrees or our associates, bachelors, masters, and our doctors, and we think that once we're a degree, we got it, but we don't realize that within those degrees, you still need certifications. You need to get specialties, and so all of those things will make you a high potential leader. When you can add those certifications and those specialties onto your title, people will look at you. You stand out more. So again, we want to thank everybody for joining us. This has been an amazing conversation. I am delighted. I am beyond ecstatic because I was chosen to host this conversation. And honestly, if I'm just all truthful, you have been that soft mentor for me as well as now my up close mentor. And I'm so grateful to all that you bring. I'm grateful that I am able to see you beyond just the church, but to see you on the business side of things and see how you operate and how you manage. And you do it so gracefully and you do it with such a level of integrity. I'm encouraging everybody that's watching, everybody that's listening. If you're listening to the replay, consider Savant Leadership Consulting. You can go to the website at www.sheilahvickers.com, or you can contact us right now by going to bookings at sheilahvickers.com or by calling 718-670-3241. Any of those avenues will get you right in touch with the one and only Sheilah Vickers. Again, listen, pin it, tag it, share it. Pin it, tag it, share it. This is something that you want to get out. You want to get out to the world. I am waiting. I'm excited what's happening for Savant Leadership. I can't wait to see the places that God take you in the church and outside the church. I really believe this is your season and your time. So thank you again for allowing me to host this event for you, this conversation. It was great.
Thank you. It's been a joy. Thank you so much for consenting to do this. It's been a pleasure to speak with you these few moments, and I look forward to hearing from you that is watching on Facebook, you that are watching on YouTube. Thank you. I look forward to doing this. And again, this is our time. This is our time for your organization, for women to come forth in leadership senior roles. It's our time. Let's be prepared for it and let's do it.
Let's do it. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. Good night.
Good night.